Have you ever seen a man run headfirst into gunfire, not to survive, but to save someone else? I have, and I can still see his eyes, focused, calm, like he had already made peace with what came next. It was the spring of 2004, Fallujah. The city was burning, and so were we. Our platoon had been on edge for weeks, street by street, block by block, clearing homes, dodging IEDs, stepping over bodies. You didn't breathe unless someone told you to. I was a young lieutenant then. Fresh commission, a backpack full of orders, and not enough sleep to remember my own name. But I had Staff Sergeant Caleb Monroe, the kind of man who carried chaos on his shoulders and made it look light, big, silent, unshakable. The kind of man who checked every corner before you even asked. The kind of man you followed into fire, because he'd never ask you to go anywhere he wasn't already standing. We were rolling down Route Iron Snake, 3 Humvees deep, headed for a neighborhood we'd cleared twice already. But intelligence said they were back, heavier, and waiting. That's when the first RPG hit, driver's side, vehicle 1, gone, just gone. In the smoke, I saw Monroe jump from our truck before it even stopped moving. He didn't wait for cover, didn't call for support. He just ran, toward the fire, toward the screams. And I remember thinking, is he insane? But the truth, he wasn't running from anything. He was running to something, to someone. I wish I could say I followed immediately. I didn't. I froze, for 2 seconds, maybe 3. But when I moved, when I caught up, what I found in that alley would change the way I saw war and brotherhood forever. And that's the moment I knew. We weren't just fighting for a mission. We were fighting for each other. And some men would rather die standing between you and the bullet than live knowing they didn't. That's the story I want to tell you. The story of Staff Sergeant Caleb Monroe and the day everything changed. We'd been in country just under 5 months, operating out of a forward position near the industrial sector of Fallujah. What was once a city of 200,000 had become a ghost town wrapped in smoke and silence. Our unit, Echo Company, 2nd Battalion, was spread thin. Urban combat eats men like fire eats dry grass. We worked in fire teams, clearing buildings, managing checkpoints, sleeping in shifts if we slept at all. I was 24, a new lieutenant with a head full of training and a heart I didn't know how to protect. But I had Caleb. Staff Sergeant Monroe was the soul of our platoon, a combat veteran, calm under pressure, the kind of Marine who never raised his voice because he didn't have to. When Caleb looked at you, he knew exactly what he meant. We also had Corporal Diaz, sharp as a blade, born to fight, and Doc Rains, our Navy corpsman, always joking, always humming the same Sinatra tune under his breath. It was strange how that sound, "Fly Me to the Moon," echoed through shattered walls while bullets flew. But that's how war is, brutal and beautiful in the same breath. Our mission that week was standard. Clear a suspected weapons cache near the Al-Shuhada district. Same streets we'd cleared twice already. But something felt different. Tension sat on our shoulders, like weight we couldn't shake. Caleb even said it quietly the night before. It's too quiet. Either they've left or they're waiting. He wasn't being dramatic, he was being honest. And we all felt it. I remember standing outside our vehicle that morning, adjusting my gear, watching the sky turn from gray to that harsh desert blue, and thinking, this is going to be one of those days we never forget. Turns out I was right. Because the ambush didn't just test our training, it tested everything. Our decisions, our loyalty, our humanity. And when it came fast, like lightning wrapped in metal and fire. That's where the real story begins. Not with orders or strategy, but with the choices made when death was a breath away, and how one man's instinct changed everything. We left the wire just after dawn. Convoy of 3 Humvees, dust still hanging in the air like fog kicked up by the night patrol before us. I was in the lead vehicle, Caleb in the second, manning the 50 cal. Corporal Diaz was next to him, scanning the rooftops. Doc Raines rode with me, feet up, arms crossed, humming Sinatra again, same song, always the same song. The target was a 3-story building along Route Serpent, abandoned according to intel, but intel's always clean until it isn't. Still, no gunfire, no movement, just that eerie stillness, like the entire city was holding its breath. At the halfway mark, we passed the canal. That's where the road narrows, squeezed between 2 crumbling apartment blocks, a natural choke point. Caleb's voice came through the headset. "Lieutenant, this spot's not right. Too many blind corners." I agreed, but we were committed. No room to turn, no air support scheduled until afternoon. We pushed forward. I kept my eyes on the windows, each one a possible muzzle flash, each alleyway a mouth that could spit fire. I caught Monroe's gaze through the side mirror. He wasn't blinking. His hand hovered near the trigger of the turret gun. Then came the call. Tank support from another unit, 2 clicks north, had eyes on a truck, civilian frame, but armed men were dismounting. "Get ready," Caleb said, his voice low, even. The air changed. You could feel it, thicker, heavier, like the silence was loaded. Then, an RPG slammed into the side of the first Humvee. Metal screamed. The truck lifted, twisted, landed in flames. I was thrown forward into the dash. Doc Raines hit the floor beside me, bleeding from the forehead but alive. And then hell opened up. Automatic fire raked the vehicles. Dust exploded around us. The air filled with shouts, static, and the roar of the 50 cal as Caleb opened up. I scrambled out the door, took cover behind a broken wall. Smoke choked the air. The burning wreck crackled like dry leaves. "Diaz is down," someone shouted, but I couldn't see him. I scanned the rooftops, movement, shadow, another flash, rounds slammed into the bricks above me. "Return fire, move, call it in." Training kicked in, but nothing could prepare you for the way time bent in that moment. That's when I saw Monroe, out in the open, standing. He was dragging Diaz by the straps of his vest. Rounds pinged off the ground near his boots, chunks of concrete burst around him. But he didn't stop. He just kept pulling, yard by yard, until he made it to the wall. He dropped Diaz, unconscious, still breathing, turned to me and said, "We need to flank them, or we die here." No fear, no hesitation, just a voice of certainty in the middle of madness. I nodded, told the rest of the squad to lay down suppressive fire. Then I followed Caleb, right into the smoke. We crawled through rubble, cut behind an alley. The gunfire was so loud I couldn't hear my own breath, couldn't feel my hands, just adrenaline and instinct. We spotted the shooters, 3 of them crouched behind a flipped cart. Caleb raised his M4, fired once, twice, 3 down. Then he turned to me. "We're not done." And he ran, again, toward the next alley, toward another threat. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about orders. This wasn't about medals. This was about him, the man who carried our weight when we couldn't. And I had to keep up, because Caleb Monroe didn't stop for anything, not even bullets. We moved fast, down a back alley that smelled like gasoline and old rot. Every corner we turned felt like flipping a coin, life or death. Caleb signaled me to stop. He crouched low behind a rusted generator. I mirrored him across the narrow walkway. His hand came up, 3 fingers. I peeked. 3 insurgents, setting up an RPG behind an overturned cart near the old school building. One of them looked no older than 17. "They're aiming for the second vehicle," Caleb whispered. Then he added, "We wait for the launcher to rise. You take the left, I'll take the rest." I didn't breathe, didn't blink. I just waited. Then the barrel lifted. We fired at the same time. One dropped instantly. The others scattered. One ran, another tried to return fire, but Caleb's second burst cut him down. We advanced. The smell of cordite was thick in the air. My chest was burning from the sprint and smoke, but there was no time to stop. We reached the bodies, cleared the weapon, grabbed extra mags, then heard it, an engine, fast, coming straight down the road behind us. Caleb spun. A pickup with a mounted gun on the bed. Barrel already spinning. Too close. No time to fall back. We dove behind a pile of bricks. Rounds chewed the wall above us, cracking the air with every impact. Dust filled my mouth. Caleb reached into his pouch, came up with a single grenade. "Cover me," he said. I raised my rifle over the bricks and let loose. Short bursts, controlled. Caleb ran low and fast, veered left, tossed the grenade underhand, right into the undercarriage of the truck. Boom. The explosion lifted the cab clean off the frame. The gunner flew sideways like a rag doll. Flames licked up from the wheels. We didn't wait. Ran past the wreck, checking for movement. Nothing. Then came the sound I'll never forget. "Medic, I need a medic now." It was Diaz. His voice, broken and frantic, coming through the headset. We rushed back toward the line. The street was littered with shell casings and broken concrete. Smoke drifted like curtains pulled by invisible hands. And then I saw him, Doc Raines, lying in the middle of the road, blood pooling beneath his leg. Diaz was applying pressure, his hands trembling. "We got you, Doc," Caleb said, kneeling beside him. Raines tried to smile, but his face went pale. "We need a bird," I said into the comms. "Priority evac, Navy corpsman down." Static, then a voice, "Bird inbound, ETA 6 minutes, hold your ground." 6 minutes, might as well have been 60. We set up a defensive perimeter. I took position near the blown-out truck. Caleb grabbed a fallen insurgent's machine gun and posted himself near a doorframe. "You think he'll make it?" I asked. Caleb didn't answer, just nodded once. The sky above us began to vibrate, that unmistakable thrum of helicopter blades. A Black Hawk banked low over the rooftops, flares popping in every direction. I waved my marker panel. The bird landed hard, dust and debris spinning in all directions. We loaded Raines. He squeezed my hand, then he was gone. And just like that, the battlefield was quiet again. Too quiet. I turned to Caleb. He looked older, like he'd aged 5 years in 5 minutes. "You good?" I asked. He gave me a tired smile, "For now." But we both knew it wasn't over. The city was still alive, still watching, still waiting. And the worst was still ahead. It started with a glint, just a shimmer, off glass or metal on the rooftop 3 blocks ahead. Caleb saw it too. His hand came up, fist clenched, everyone froze. Then, crack, a single rifle round. It hit the wall a foot from Diaz's head. We scattered, took cover. "They're zeroing in," Caleb said through clenched teeth. "Snipers, more than one." I pressed my back against a rusted truck frame. I could hear my own heartbeat louder than the distant gunfire. We were boxed in. Then came the real blow. An RPG screamed in from our left, tore through a storefront just 20 feet away. The blast sent Diaz flying. I felt the heat on my face. I crawled through broken glass and smoke to get to him. He was coughing, dazed, blood running down the side of his face. "Am I hit?" he asked. "You're alive," I said. "That's all that mattered." More small arms fire. They were pushing, a full cell moving in from the west. We couldn't hold this position. Caleb was already making the call. "Bounding retreat, pair up, move on me." We moved in twos, cover fire, sprint. I grabbed Diaz and hauled him toward the alley behind a collapsed fruit stand. Rounds kicked up dirt at our feet. Then another RPG. This one struck the rear of the truck Caleb was using for cover. It erupted in flame. I screamed his name, no response, smoke billowed. Then, movement. A figure stumbling out of the black, clutching his arm. It was Caleb, burned, limping, but alive. We regrouped inside a blown-out home, door barely hanging on its hinges. I kicked it shut and dropped Diaz beside the wall. Caleb collapsed into the corner. His sleeve was soaked in blood. I tore the fabric open, shrapnel, multiple pieces. He winced but didn't complain. "They're going to overrun us," he said, "unless we push out now." "Push out how?" I asked. I felt panic creeping up my spine. We had one working radio, minimal ammo, and one of us couldn't walk. "We create noise," Caleb said. "Split their attention. One of us draws fire, the others flank out." I looked at him, eyes locked. "You mean you draw fire?" He didn't deny it. "No way," I said. "We stay together." "Look at Diaz," he said. "Look at yourself. You're not getting him out unless someone gives you a window." It was the kind of logic that cuts, clear, cruel, undeniable. I wanted to fight it, but Caleb was already checking his sidearm, grabbing spare mags, making peace with his decision. "You get him home," he said, voice steady. "Promise me that." I nodded. There was no other answer. Caleb opened the door, looked over his shoulder, a half smile. Then he was gone. Gunfire erupted seconds later. He was making every bullet count, drawing them toward the street, giving us our chance. I threw Diaz's arm over my shoulder, dragged him through the back entrance, across a narrow garden, through 2 more alleys. Bullets snapped past, but we kept moving. Behind us, silence, then a final burst of gunfire, then nothing. We made it to the evac point, picked up by a convoy sweeping the sector. Diaz was rushed into triage. I sat on the curb, hands still shaking. Caleb never came. Days later, they found his body. 5 hostiles down, empty magazines around him, his sidearm in hand. They said he saved 9 Marines that day, but he saved more than that. He saved me. And I've carried that weight ever since, not as a burden, but as a torch. The kind you pass on, so no one forgets. There isn't a day I don't think about Caleb Monroe, about what he gave, and what I almost lost. Sometimes I wake up with the dust still in my lungs. I can still feel his hand on my shoulder, steadying me, pulling me back from the edge. I can still hear his voice, calm, even under fire. "Do the job, get him home." I tried to do that. Every mission after Fallujah, every patrol, I carried him with me. His discipline, his sacrifice, his courage. But it's strange. The war doesn't end when you step off the battlefield. It follows you in small moments, in silence and guilt. And some of us, we didn't know how to carry that. A few years after I left the Corps, I got a call, another name, another Marine gone. It was Doc Raines. He took his life in a motel outside San Antonio. I remember sitting alone with that news, wondering if I missed something, if I could have said one thing, made one call. And that's when I realized, this brotherhood, it doesn't end when the shooting stops. We survived the war together, so we have to survive the after together too. I started calling people I served with, reaching out, just to say hey, just to say I'm still here. And something changed. Stories started coming out, laughter returned, tears too. We started meeting once a year, a small gathering at first, then bigger. Now we call it the Stone Fire Circle, a place to talk, to remember, to heal. And I keep Caleb's name on the stone, so no one forgets. Because his sacrifice wasn't about death, it was about life, about giving others the chance to come home. So I tell this story, not for medals, not for pity, but for anyone carrying the same weight. You're not alone, we're still here, and we're still fighting for peace, for memory, for each other. That's what Caleb taught me, and that's what I'll pass on, every time, for as long as I breathe. If this story moved you, if you felt even a flicker of what it means to carry someone's memory, then don't let it end here. Like this video, not for numbers, but to keep stories like Caleb's alive. Subscribe to the channel because there are more untold voices, more moments of courage, of pain, of hope that the world needs to hear. And if you know someone carrying their own war long after the battlefield, share this with them. Let them know they're not alone. We're building more than a channel. We're building a circle, a place to remember, a place to heal. Thank you for being part of it. See you in the next story.